Srishti, Aashia, Taneesha, thank you guys so much. It was like such a pleasure connecting with you guys. And, I'm really glad that you took the time out to be here today. So, um, I hope that this panel is informative for everyone. If you enjoy it, make sure you follow at Connect to College on Instagram because we host a lot of panels like these. And I'll put the link to the Instagram in the chat below later if you want to go give it a follow. And also, we'll be putting a feedback link so you can give us some feedback, and that would be really great. And I'm just gonna dive into the structure of this panel in case you're new to these panels. Basically, I've collected some great questions from everyone in the audience, and I will be asking those questions in the first 45 minutes. And then in the last 15 minutes, we'll open the floor to questions where the entire audience can message me in the chat. But please refrain from messaging me until I announce that the floor is open, and then you can message in the chat. And I would also urge you guys to just keep your cameras off just to reduce, not the panelists, just the audience to reduce distractions. And I think with that, we can begin with the introduction. Hopefully Taneesha will pop up anytime now. But I think if you guys could just start by sharing, where you're from, what high school you're attending, what university you're entering, as well as your majors and interests. Aashia, we can start with you and then Srishti.
Okay, cool. So I was in Oberoi National School, which means I did DIB, and before that I did IGCSE. I applied initially thinking I was going to Canada, like fully convinced that I was going to Canada. In fact, I accepted one of my offers from UFT, the St. George's campus, and then I changed my mind because I'm an indecisive person, and choosing colleges can be a really, like, it can take a toll on you in terms of, because it's 4 years of your future. So yeah, that took me a while, but then I finally decided on BU, and I'm really happy with my decision.
Great.
Oh, and I'm like,
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah. And Srishti?
Okay, hi, I'm Srishti. I'm a business admin major. And right now I'm in Northeastern University. So I started like the first semester. It's been like 1.5 months in this first semester. Yeah, I was also in Oberoi. So same thing there. I applied like everywhere. I applied like UK, Canada, and US, and I was really split between Canada and US as well. So I had an offer from Rotman at U of T, and I had McGill, I had Queens. So it was very confusing for me to decide which one to go for. But I'm also super happy with my decision. So I'm like currently in the Damar McKim School of Business. So if there are any like business people here, I know a lot about like the business major and stuff, so I can really help out for that.
Great, thank you both so much. I think Taneesha.
Can you guys see me?
No. Oh yeah, yeah, I can see you. Yeah, great, perfect timing. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. First of all, hi guys, I'm Taneesha. I'm so sorry I took so long. It's late in the night here and I had to throw something on. But for me, I wasn't indecisive. I was hell bent on coming to BU. Because the thing is, for me, I looked into colleges with it is a tough decision. They're right, like the other two are right. The other two are right. It's a very tough decision to make because you have to constantly look through the campus, you have to look through the courses, you have to look through if you like it, many percentages of like how many Indians are there. All this matters. You may think it's like it's stupid, no, it's only the education. It's not. It's all these little things, and I felt like BU is the perfect place for me because they offered my courses and I love the campus here, and I ED'd here. It was my first ED. So as soon as I got in, I didn't even have the option of going anywhere else. So this was like, Boston is like a beautiful city, and I always knew I wanted to come here, which is why I ED'd here. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Great, thank you so much. Oh, that was great. So I think we can start with the majors. So what did you guys like? Which major did you enter with, and like why? So we can start with Aashia and then Taneesha and then Srishti.
Sure. So I'm majoring in psychology, and I first got introduced to psych in IB. So I never did like psych before that. I did, however, have a couple like research projects and things in school, even in IG, where we were allowed to explore our interest. And so I found that I was inclined towards psych and more like research based, uh, more like research stuff. And I also took bio as an HL. So I did psych HL, bio HL, and English HL. And so for me to do bio HL allowed me to have an option paper that had neurobiology, which is where I got also introduced to neurobiology and brain and behavior and its connection and things like that. And that's when I decided that I wanted to major in psych. And the good thing about going to the US and even BU is that even though I know that I'm interested in psychology, should I choose to change my interest, should I realize if I take like say a theater class and say I'm into theater, like I can change and I can switch majors, I can take minors, I can um, take other classes that are outside of my interest just so that I can explore it. And for the 4 years of undergrad, BU gives me that opportunity to explore all my options until I can specialize, which is what I plan to do right now.
Thank you so much. Taneesha?
Yeah. So for me, I have entered BU with an undecided major because I think, like most of you, or unlike most of you, and that's a good thing, I am extremely unsure of what I want to do. I'm interested in like a very wide array of things. So I took so because BU is a school that offers like everything. We have like about like 20 colleges under one school. So you can take up literally anything. There's like scuba diving classes if you want. So that's the good thing about going to a college in US. Um, in BU, I've taken 4 different classes because these are the 4 fields I'm most interested in, and I may like do each class, and then at the end of this semester I may decide which class I like the most and then take that one as my major. So I took film, psychology, sociology, and writing. And as of now, film is my favorite, and that's it's not like very it's very predictable of me because it's something I love to do. But I am mostly going to change my school in BU. I'm in BU College of Arts and Sciences, and I may switch over to College of Communication because I want to take up film. And so, yeah, but right now I'm still an undecided major. You can decide your major even in your junior year, like that is 2 years later. So that's not something you have to stress about.
Great, thank you so much. And Srishti?
Yeah, so I mean, my answer is pretty similar. Even in Northeastern, there are usually 2 different groups of people. One, which are like completely confused. They're like, just exploring. And there are so many people who say they have changed their major like 8 times. And it's completely fine. Like in Boston specifically, I think all US unis, but Boston specifically, I think there's just so much to explore. Like, and that's just like one group though. So if you think you don't fit into that group and you know exactly what you want to do, don't feel like, oh, this is just like, a place where you just kind of explore everything. You can really go in depth. Like for me, I think one difference between the other panelists and me is that I really knew exactly what I wanted to do. Like for the last 4 years, I know I want to do business. But it's just like, for me, it's like within business, what do I want to do? But that's like very specific, right? Like that's like the very small things. Like, is it like accounting or finance? Like nobody really cares about like the small details. But even if you are like me, in the sense that you want to do like, I don't know, microbiology, I don't know, but like, like if it's so specific, don't worry that it'll be very general, because I know some people really have that, like, oh, I just don't want to like explore random things for like the first 2 years and then concentrate. I want to start working like in a lab from the first year itself. I would say, I don't know about Boston University or the other unis, but I know Northeastern, if you have like that one passion and you really want to like start semester 1, you can do it. Like usually business schools don't start until like junior year for all, like almost other, all other unis. But in Northeastern, it's like the first classes I'm taking are business classes. So that's also really good. So if you're like that and you want to straight up start, you can do that. Or if you want to explore, you can do that as well.
Great, thank you so much for that, guys. So I'm gonna move on to, unfortunately, parts of the college application now. So if don't get me wrong, Srishti, Aashia, both of you were in IBDP, right? And Taneesha, you were in HSC, which are both quite like different. So what subjects did you guys take? I think Aashia already mentioned this, but what subjects did you guys take? Or Taneesha, just I'm just gonna clarify. Do you guys choose subjects, or is it a stream, or how does it work in terms of selection?
Okay, yeah. So in HSC, usually there are three streams you can enter. It's either science, either commerce, or either arts. Um, so in America, the streams are very different, but in India, we divide them on these fronts. And I was in a commerce field. I took up like business and management and economics, like subjects that I would never even think about taking in college. So if you're worried that your stream will not match your college major, whatever, I don't think you have to worry too much about it. As long as your scores are good in what you've taken right now, they believe that you'll be able to study even anything else you want to take up. So I don't think it's something you have to worry about too much.
Great, thank you. And Srishti, what subjects did you take?
Okay, so my HL were math HL, business and psych. So I don't think I mentioned this, but like I'm also really interested in like psych and stuff like that, right? So I might consider doing a minor. So there is just so many different possibilities. If someone was so interested in psych, they want to like dual major. They're like options for combined major. So yeah, and yeah, I guess that's the question, right?
Yeah, perfect. And Aashia, I think you already talked about. Oh wait, are you muted?
No, can you not hear me?
I can hear you now. Great.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to add really quickly about the whole subject selection when it comes to IB or HSC or whatever it is that you're doing before your undergraduate studies. Don't worry about it not matching up, because that's one thing about the US that's I don't know, you could look at it from both sides, because to me it looks like, because I knew I wanted to do psychology and I did psychology at a higher level, I'm getting like my credit equivalents for my class.
Mhm.
So, for
Yeah.
example, I don't have to take general psychology in my first semester when I go to BU. And general psychology is a prerequisite to take psychology as a major. So that means that because I've done it, I have the advantage of not doing it again. But if you haven't done it, you could very easily literally start off from the general psychology level and still be at par with the rest of your classmates who are doing a psychology major. So you don't have to worry about not having done something like that. Obviously, choose your classes wisely. It is very important, and you can get like advantages out of it. Like I'm getting credits for my bio class, for my English class, and for my psych class, my 3HLs. And so yeah, so if you should choose wisely, but don't worry about closing any doors for yourself, because once you start opening doors that you don't even know you had.
Great, that
Yeah.
sounds good. Thanks, guys. And another question that I had, right, especially for say Taneesha, because she's at least IB is an international curriculum, right? Did you guys take any AP tests or subject tests outside your school curriculum to show like your proficiency in the subject? I'm guessing Shrishti, that's a no.
No.
Okay, Taneesha, we can start with you, and then Asha, and then Shrishti, I guess.
Yeah. So it is an option that you can take. I had a friend who's now in Vassar College who did take an AP for, I think, his physics, and it does help you in terms of, like Asha said, like getting some credit. But even if you don't do it, it's not a requirement at all. It's not 100% necessary. I would suggest taking an AP class if you're sure you want to take that subject in college, just so you can get the advantage of getting those extra credits. Otherwise, there's absolutely no need to do it if you're not in an IB school.
Great, perfect. And Asha?
Yeah, like I said, AP has the same equivalency as a lot of other like 11th and 12th curriculums, I guess. So you don't exactly have to do it. However, so when I was applying to Canada, and maybe this will help, because it does happen for other universities as well, like in the US too. If I wanted to do something in the Faculty of Sciences, like psychology was under the Faculty of Sciences at McGill, I couldn't do that because I didn't take chemistry at HL. But they did tell me that if I took, say, a SAT subject test of chem, which was like basic chem, and even if it wasn't, it was something that I could have learned because it was just chemistry that I had to take a subject test for, that would also show them that I have sort of a background in chemistry, because I did IG chemistry, and so then the subject test would just be like just enough for me to be able to go to the Faculty of Sciences. So yeah, you could look into SAT subject tests instead of doing a whole AP, because APs can be like really heavy.
Yeah.
Great, yeah, thank you. And Srishti?
Yeah, so something about like the credit system and all, I did not do the SAT subject test, which is something I really regret. So I would say if you are applying to like even remotely like second tier competitive unis, if they are saying recommended, you need to take it as required. I took it as recommended and didn't do it, even though I could have easily just given the math one because I took math HL. There's no way it could be harder than that. So I could have just done it. Like I just got like a little scared. I didn't have the time and I felt like, oh, I'll not do well. Just don't think like that. It's better to just do it and then figure out whether you want to send it. I would say if you are aiming at a like tier one, tier two school in US or in Canada, wherever, you should just give it. Like it's completely okay. Even if you don't do that well, but at least you tried. And something about the credit system I wanted to add, the IB, like, you know, it's easy to say the subjects don't matter, but I feel like they really look at the rigor and the challenging courses that you have taken for like uni selection and stuff. Like, I got 24 credits. Um, 18 were from my IB subjects, and then they had something called like a challenge exam, like at the start of the academic year. So I basically taught myself whole of AP in macroeconomics, microeconomics, and an English one. So I did that in like a month. It's very possible. It's just like little effort. You, if you wanna put the extra effort, I could skip classes. Do you know what I mean? Like I could take business classes from day one because I got credit. Because I got 8 credits for math. I got 4 credits for English. Like I didn't have to do those basic classes, and that's so good because if you're someone who wants to really challenge yourself from day one, there's no point sitting for like those math or English classes. It's not gonna add to your major. It's not. It's nothing. It's just gonna be like, you know, like it's just a waste of time and money, to be honest.
Mhm.
So the credit system is really good. Really take advantage of it. And if you can, just do the, you know, extra stuff. Like it never hurts.
Yeah, thank you. That was a very new perspective on it. It does hurt for me. I don't want to prepare for more tests, but like, I mean, I completely get it. So I'm gonna like, oh yeah. So because we are on the subject of subject tests, might as well talk about, you know, SATs and ACTs. So I'm just gonna, I'm sorry, I know, I don't want to. Okay, so can you guys just outline, you know, how you prepared for it, if you did, and you know what the process was like, and if you're comfortable, what your scores were as well. You can start with you, Taneesha, and then Aashia, and then Srishti.
Sure. So now that it's done and I got into the school, I will announce my score. It's not I'm telling you guys, it's not a good score, but it's not bad. It's just somewhere between average, which was luckily good enough for BU. I don't know how, but it was. Um but it may not be that good, and I regret not preparing as much as I could have. I got a 1350, and I would say their regular range is their lowest side is between 1320, and then they go up to obviously about 1600. I would suggest y'all take the time to just solve as many papers as you can. It's just practice. It's not that hard. If you can spend and do like about a section from the SAT a day, it would be really really helpful. And that's what the teacher I took for SAT told me, and I did not listen, and I should have listened because I could have done a lot better. Fortunately, things worked out for me, but you don't want it to not work out based on something so stupid. It's just a section a day, so I would suggest everyone just practicing as much as you can. That's as basic as it gets, and it doesn't take too much of your time.
Yeah, thank you for that. Aashia.
Srishti can go next because my answer will be the other side of this.
Okay, yeah, Srishti, go ahead.
Okay, so the SAT, biggest waste of my time. I'm not gonna lie. If I regret one thing, it's spending too much time on the SAT. Not gonna lie.
Okay, now I don't feel so
Um,
bad then.
Honestly, it's not worth it. Let me tell you, I did it twice. First time I freaked out. second time my score was 1490, 10 points away from what I wanted it to be. So, little bit of crying, it was fun, but it was not worth it. It doesn't do anything to your application. It does not add anything. Nobody cares about your SAT. Like, you'll be surprised. Like, 1550s can get rejected and 1400s can get in. Like, trust me when I say I was way above. Like, I was in the top tier for like 3 of my schools and they all rejected me. Why? I don't really know. Like, but it's not the scores. And it doesn't do much. Like, let me be honest. Like, I was studying 1 year in advance. Like, the summer between, I don't remember the times now, but like the summer between, I think, 10th and 11th grade, I started studying then. I wouldn't say don't study, like that's a bad advice, but it doesn't do much. Like, even if you study a lot of it is just based on luck. After like reaching a certain point, like 1400s, okay, yeah, you can study and reach 1400, but after that, if you like kill yourself over like 10 points, that'll never stop. So like, just know when to stop. That's also one thing. People do SAT like 10 times. Don't do it. Like, just stop after the second time. It's not worth it.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think everyone like collectively hates the standardized testing. What is your
Yeah.
story then?
So that being said, though, like I think universities are also realizing this, and they have also started doing standardized testing because they know that to give students what they're already doing for their high school, whatever it is that they're doing, like it was IB, and that was a lot of work. And I remember like walking into SAT class and feeling this like heavy feeling in my brain because I had just finished a whole day of school, and my parents already signed me up for a class and things like that. And then very next day, I went to my counselor and I was like, this SAT class makes my body pain physically. Like, what do I do? And she looked at me and she was like, why are you doing this? Like, don't do the SATs. Because firstly, obviously, like, know what you want to do, because there are schools that are not test optional and not test blind and stuff like that. So you do not want to close any doors for yourself. And that's the one thing, like when my parents signed me up for that class, they were like, you don't want to close any doors for yourself. You don't want to close any doors for yourself. And my argument, which I don't know if that was right. Like right now it is working out for me, but it may not work out for you, which is why I tread lightly. But when I said I knew I wanted to go to Canada, I was like 100%. Like I knew I wanted to go to Canada. And fun fact about Canada, they don't care about standardized testing. They want your high school transcript. They don't actually even care about extracurriculars that much. So I was like, what's the point? I know I'm going to Canada. I don't have to do this. I'll work really hard on my IB, which doesn't matter. This pandemic has happened, but I'll work really hard on my IB and I'll get a really good score and get in through that, which is what happened. And I'm completely fine. Like, even though I chose not to go to Canada, BU is still test optional. And even after me not giving my exams and getting my unfair grade that I got, I'm still in, and I still have a secure place in college, and that was fine. So don't stress yourself out over standardized testing that much. It's not as hard as you think it is either, because like everyone does it and it's called a standardized test for a reason, and it'll sometimes clash with the curriculum that you're probably doing in high school. But don't give it too much importance, and don't like kill yourself over it because you don't want to like regret either doing too much or not doing too much and blah blah blah.
Great.
If I can just add one, like,
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I just want to say that I feel like everyone in this stage, applying and I don't know, studying and stuff, they really put so much emphasis on the grades and stuff. I know, but I did the same exact thing. Like, I was like, okay, I need the good grades, I need blah 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 to get it. There's no formula to getting in. That might work for like some Canadian unis because they have like a requirement. Like, I know McGill, they kind of had a requirement that I needed a 40 or a 42 or something. I'm not sure, but they had that requirement. Like, your chances are like much higher. So in that case, yeah, like obviously UK, they care, like, conditional offers. But in terms of US, there's no formula of getting, like, to get in. And I think it's very easy for us to say like, oh, don't worry about it too much. Like, it's okay, it doesn't matter. But that's because we have went through it. And like, we did worry about it at that time. So I just want to say that just like just do it, but like really just like control yourself. Like just be like, okay, there's a limit as to how much I can study for this test. At one point it's getting too much, it's taking over my extracurriculars, it's taking over my ability to write a good essay. Those are the real things, your attitude is the real thing. Like this is like a job interview, I'm not even joking. Like job interview, nobody cares about your GPA. Like nobody even cares like whether you had a 2.0. Like as long as you passed, it's all good. Like and that's the differentiators are not the grades. Like just remember that. Like just because you got a good grade doesn't mean now you're in.
Great. Thank you so much for shedding light on that. I think a lot of people have the same misconceptions, and we tend to focus only on like the grades. So it's really good that you brought that up. And I think I'm gonna move on now, thankfully, from this topic to another topic that is actually not really like spoken about. At least I don't know a lot about it, which is letter of recommendation. So like I think a question that we got is it mandatory for you to ask your like school counselor for a letter of recommendation, and who did you go for a letter of recommendation and like when? So I think we can start with Aashia, and then Srishti, and then Taneesha.
Okay. So the letter of recommendation situation almost became like a fun thing for me. Firstly, it when you go onto Common App and choose your colleges, you can check out whether or not your college, how many recommenders your college needs, whether or not you need it. I think it's compulsory, like at least one is compulsory. Shrishti, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really know.
I think it depends like on the uni. Yeah.
So for me, I had to have one recommender compulsory and one was kind of like recommended or like optional. So I very strategically obviously went to my favorite psych teacher who like liked me, and I spent that whole year trying to like kiss her ass to make her like me, but I did really enjoy that class. And honestly, like a lot of you will have that teacher. That's me not talking as a college student trying to give you advice. That's me talking as like a high school senior, like a high school graduate, giving you advice that like you're going to have that class you really like, you're going to have that teacher that you want to like you because you're working hard in that class. And so that can very conveniently become your like recommender situation. Don't worry about the actual letter, because if you're going to ask a teacher if they are agreeing to write one for you, chances are that they know your strengths, they know what you're capable of, and so they will play to your strengths when they are writing your letter. So like don't worry about it being like anything bad or anything, because teachers will just say no if they think you're a bad student. But yeah, again, like if you know that your letters of recommendation are compulsory or even optional, then there's nothing wrong with making it like an active effort to like tell your teachers to write that for you, because it can change things. I had this one teacher who would always talk about like how she used to write letters of recommendation and how she used to spend like a really long time trying to make it really nice. And if a member of the admin is reading that and they see some things coming from a teacher that's good about you, then obviously it's going to work in your favor. So I don't have any advice to give about letters of recommendation other than like, if that is something you have to do, then go to your favorite teacher and do that. Like really pamper, like as in really like do it correctly is all I'm saying.
Great, thank you. And Srishti, I think, was next. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think based on like I was looking back to recommendation letters and stuff, I think one of the biggest warning signs you gotta look for is if you are just going to a teacher because like they're nice, and if they say something like, "Oh, really? I have to write another," because people say that. You'll be surprised how many teachers complain about writing recommendation letters. If they are doing that, you're better off without the recommendation letter, to be honest. Like because they are going to write a very generic one, and they can really look at the letter and understand whether this was like genuinely written or whether it was like a generic thing which like teachers just like put out. And I've seen this with so many teachers in our school. And also, okay, so for me, one of my recommenders, whatever, I knew her since ninth grade. So like, I'm not gonna lie. Like in ninth grade, I was like, yeah, I want her to write my recommendation letter. I am going to be like, like full on. I loved her. I was like, she was a business teacher. So I was like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna like go full on. So I planned my recommendation letter in ninth grade. So like, that's a little extreme. That's just me. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, that's just me. But like, and my second recommendation letter was from, I mean, if people don't know, as Miss Kavleen, and because like I had a really good relationship with her. She, based on whether they are also excited to write your letter, and also your brag sheets, very important. Not going to lie, I wrote like 5 pages for my brag sheet, even though it was supposed to be pointers. I wrote my whole recommendation letter on that. And apparently, like the teacher feedbacks, they said that it was really helpful. Like I remember Miss Kavleen told me that she was a math teacher, math HL. So she told me that my brag sheet was really helpful because like I really listed out very clearly, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, and it really like gave her a guide. So if you have a brag sheet situation in your school, or like you have that, really put effort into that. Like don't just like say, oh, I'm a good student. Like who cares? Like just really be specific. Yeah.
Explain what a brag sheet is
Yeah.
though, like just for context.
No, I don't know.
Oh, sorry. Should I explain what a brag sheet is?
It's
Yeah.
a summary of yourself. I was trying, yeah, explain, just in case anyone doesn't.
Okay. So, I mean, the college counselors gave us like a template for the brag sheet. So, I'm not sure how it would look, but basically, it's like bragging about yourself essentially. Like, it's like, what are your strengths? Why do you think you need a recommendation letter from this class? How did you portray like whatever skills that you have listed down in the class? And basically, like, you have to give examples. The entire point of recommendation letter is not to say, oh, you're a good student. Shrishti is very hardworking. Yeah, okay, what's the proof? Like I'm not just gonna like take the word of a teacher. You have to really give examples to support your claim. It's like an essay. So yeah, and if the best thing about the brag sheets is if you can think of examples, because teachers have so much to do, like they won't remember like for each and every student. And if you remember like that one time, and maybe the teacher doesn't even know you helped like some person for a test or something, you like help them with like some concept they didn't understand or something, you can just put that on the brag sheet, and chances are the teacher's going to include it in the recommendation letter. So to be honest, like if you write your brag sheet nicely and like there are good examples and you like kind of just write your own recommendation letter, they just go off that. So that's a good strategy to follow.
It's called a brag sheet. Like
Yeah, like it,
I had no.
yeah.
And Tanisha, I think, is left. Yeah.
Yeah. So the recommendation letter process is very different in an HSC school as it is from an IB school. Also, guys, while I'm speaking about that, I don't want to go back to standardized testing, but I just one little thing I have to say is that some schools that are optional for SAT are just optional for IB schools. A lot of the schools are not optional for us. So we may still have to take the SAT. So just keep that in mind and like look through all the information on your college website, because some are optional for us, but most colleges that are SAT optional for IB schools are not optional for us. We still have to take the SAT. And coming to the recommender situation, it's very different in HSC than it is from college. We don't have school counselors to do it for us. So I would suggest approaching if you have like a coordinator for your faculty, so either science, commerce, or arts, you have to go to your coordinator or who's in charge of that particular stream, and they will act as your counselor. So your one counselor's recommendation letter, and then there's one teacher's or two teachers. It's like Aashia said, it's optional or whatever. For those, just approach your favorite teacher, and in HSC they ask you for a letter format. So you have to basically, it's a lot like the brag sheet actually. You basically write the letter for the teacher, and then they'll make whatever corrections they want and upload it the way they want to. But it's essentially, if you're lucky and your teacher likes you, she'll just upload it the way you gave it to her. But that's how we do it. We format the letter first and we give it to the teacher, and they just upload it for us.
Wow, I had no idea that we
Mm-hmm.
contribute so much to the letter of recommendation. Thank you guys.
Like
Yeah.
very
Yeah, Asha, go ahead.
no, I was just saying like it's the little things that matter, and like it's not that you have to like craft for many years that you are gonna like make a teacher like you somehow or whatever. It's the like smallest things that they'll pick up on and kind of be like happy about that you're doing. Like I know my college counselor wrote, like she asked me to write my recommendation because I had this sticker on my laptop that said, get shit done. Firstly, I'm sorry for using that word. Like, I know it's a
No,
bad
it's
word.
fine. It doesn't.
So at least for like, I know that in the US, like the S word can be taken seriously, right? So she looked at me and it was kind of like a peculiar sticker to have on your school laptop. And she was like really almost fascinated by it. And she was like, does that like actually motivate you? And I was like, honestly, when I look at my laptop and it says get shit done, it's almost like insulting me to work. And it's like, do your stuff, right? And so she really liked that. And so like Srishti said, with that like little example, I guess she used it in the letter, which I don't know why I got accepted into BU after that. But yeah, it's like those little things that teachers will actually like, because you know you're doing those little things. So like they'll pick up on that and they'll really like make you look nice.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really like an interesting take on that. Just like a quick follow up, when did you guys start asking like your teachers for recommendations? Was it in 11th grade, 12th grade beginning? Like how, like sort of like a 12th grade?
12th grade beginning, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Shrishti, you planned yours in 9th grade though. That's
I mean, subconsciously, like they knew that I was gonna ask,
I mean,
but like,
subconsciously we all do it when we know what recommendations are.
yeah,
Like because of that, then you like know the teacher in your head and like, yeah, I'm kiss this one.
yeah,
wow.
that
Okay.
should be, yeah.
Okay, I think I'm gonna move on to yet another really infuriating topic, which is extracurriculars, because that's a huge thing in the US, right? So first, I just want to do like a quick clarifying question. Did BU and Northeastern both like use the Common App in the app?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shrishti did Northeastern. Okay, yeah. So then, did you guys fill all like I correct me if I'm wrong, but there are like certain like slots for the extracurriculars, right? Like spaces. So did you fill all of them, or did you choose the most important ones? So that was the first question, and then I'll ask you guys what extracurricular. Yeah, first that. Tanisha, we can start with you, and then
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then
So they have like an activity page which has like 10
Mm-hmm.
different activities, and then in the next slide after that you can upload like your resume or your CV or whatever. So in the 10 activities I picked my best 10, but they also have to have like a good mix. So I put like the paid like theater jobs I did first, because work would be impressive. Then I put my internships. Then I put community service because Americans love community service. And then I put all my school and college extracurricular activities. That's how I did mine. And then in the next thing, I made a CV of everything I've ever done. Even if it's really stupid, just put it in there so that you have so much to show in your CV. And I put it in my and then I made a CV of everything I've ever done, and I uploaded that in the second slide. But I would say the first 10 activities, make sure they are most important ones.
great. Thank you for that quick overview. And who was next? I think Shrishti. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, again, I feel like this is such an annoying answer, but there's like no correct way to do the activity list and stuff. I would say, if you are like in the exploring kind of stage where you're like going undeclared, yeah, like have your best and just go for it. Like it doesn't really matter because they want to know more about your attitude rather than like your subject knowledge. Um, but if you are like very dedicated, like if you first of all like some people are into like med field and stuff, right? That's so specific. And in that, if you put, oh, I was in a sports team, honestly, like such a big misconception about US unis that they want like this whole one sport, one music, blah, blah, blah. They could not care less. Like they literally don't care. Like
True.
it sounds fake. Like when you put like one music, one thing, it literally sounds like you planned it out like that. And that's exactly what everyone did in our school. So yeah, that's a bad strategy. I would say don't do that. I would say if you're in like the exploring whatever, like do whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. But if you're very fixed to like one field, like for me, if it was business, honestly put more or less like the business related stuff, and maybe if you have like one other thing, like I was into art like a little bit, so I just put one thing which was related to that. So anything you're passionate about, your application needs to be cohesive. The problem comes when there's like there's not things that don't make sense in your application. Like your recommendation letter says that you are very focused, blah blah blah, but something else says you're not focused. That's the biggest issue. Like I think that's what gets most people rejected when they're like different ideas coming from your application. It should all work towards the same goal. It should not be like this one is saying something else, and then this one recommendation is saying something else. Then you in your own essay are like, oh, I procrastinate, but like your recommendation letters are like, oh, she's so focused. Like that's like the biggest problem, because like who are you then? Like, you know. So in that sense, I would say I filled the all 10 because I had like 10, but at the same time, it does not matter. It's quality over quantity for sure.
Great, thank you so much for that. That was a sort of different take from what I've heard, is that having it cohesive, because a lot of, like, I know some other people have a very diverse array, so there's good. Yeah. Aashia, I think you were next.
Yeah, so for someone like me that like I didn't have as much exposure to my specific subject as I would have liked. So for my activities, like I mostly filled out like different kind of stuff and filled out like basically everything that I did. Plus, IB had a lot of like CAS stuff and CAS events, which means that I had like community service and different projects that I had headed or been a part of and things like that. And so I just listed out everything, like Taneesha said, just like the lot of everything that I've done in terms of like take notes of this work, community service, and even like even for me, even my like other music arts, foreign languages, like all of that other interests and stuff, because I just thought that having all that listed out, I can then play to my strengths and be like, this was like the best of that, like the first time I earned maybe, or like the um the like a project I did that was that I headed for some sort of CAS event that made um like funds, or like had a good had a good like turnout and stuff like that, right? But then another thing that I did was, since I this is kind of a strange fact, but I used to shoot like pistol shooting. And so I went for nationals in 2016. And although this was way before high school, my college counselor told me that this is like still a really like good thing. And for me, if I can like put it out there, even without it having to be in my activities or extracurriculars, I could really like make that look like make myself look like a holistic student. So what I did is, in my essay for my Common App, like the general essay in NEU one, I spoke about my experience, because my Common App prompt I used was discuss an event or realization that sparked personal growth or something like that. And so I spoke of my whole like the fact that it's such a weird thing being in India, and when people ask me what sport I play, and I used to be like, I shoot, and that was just kind of odd. And so I tried to like put all that I could. Like I worked extremely hard on my essay. I remember that. And like even right before the deadline, I was like not happy with it. So I kept changing stuff, and everyone had to calm me down and things like that. But yeah, so you could use your extracurriculars like that to make yourself seem like more of an holistic person, and just of all the things, because I'm sure you're doing a lot of things, like you don't even realize the things you're doing. Just by the way, you're spending summers doing internships, or even like smaller things, and learning life skills as you go through high school. And so you could use those to put into your activities and extracurricular thing section on.
So much for sharing that. I think it relates a lot to what we'll be talking soon, which is like the general Common App essay. But just, I think you mentioned that like one of your most significant extracurriculars was like the pistol shooting, that activity, right? So what were like, oh wow, Taneesha, what were the most significant like extracurriculars for you guys? Like one, like were the closest to you?
So, in terms of extracurriculars, I think there's no like right answer for this. It absolutely like differs person to person, major to major, college to college. Like it's you can't possibly answer this correctly, but in my applications, because I'm an undecided major, and um I showed a lot of interest in film, theater, and that sort of thing in my essays and in my extracurriculars, which is why I prioritized a lot of what I did in that aspect. But if you're interested in something else, I would suggest focusing on that. But also just I would also just you know, each college also has a website, and they put some of their requirements, and they obviously won't tell you what they prioritize, but you can also go on a lot of like their chats or like Quora or something and look at what people have seen before. So I would suggest just like you know, it depends person to person. I can't really answer that correctly.
Shrishti, which one was like the closest for you, like the extracurricular that mattered the most for you?
Okay, so like as a business major, I had like a lot of internships that I had done. Yeah, so like I really just talked about like my internship experiences and stuff. That was not my essay though. It should have been. Like I'll come back to that later. But my activities, they were mainly like internships that I've done over like the last 3 years and stuff. And one was like obviously my CAS project was there as well. Because I thought like, I was pretty proud of it. So I put it as like I think number one on my list. And then I also had one which was like a website for art and photography. And that was like the basis of my essay as well. Like I did a whole extended metaphor situation, which was like related to my art, whatever. Like, that was like one of my interests. So I think, yeah, like those were like the main.
Great, thank you. And I think, wait, I think we covered that question then because Asha spoke about it in the previous one. So last question before I open the floor, just because I think we're getting some questions in. So, what
Mhm.
I think we already sort of touched upon this, but what topic did you guys write your Common App essay about? And what is like one piece of advice you'd give to all high schoolers? Second one's more like broad, but yeah, I think we can start with you, Taneesha, and then Asha, and then Shrishti.
Sure. So I wrote mine on the prompt that said, "What is one talent, hobby, or something like that, that you could not properly include in your application, but you would want to be a part of who you are, and you would want the college to know." So I picked that prompt, and I focused it on my hobby for writing poetry. Um, and yeah, I basically focused on how I got into poetry and how I like related to everything around me, and how it also formed a connection with me and my nana. And so every essay will be different. You will write it like how you want to write it. There's no right way of writing it. Again, it's so subjective. Every college is different, every major is different, every person is different. But as long as you are as first of all, if you read your friends essays and get nervous, just don't compare anything to anyone. This is my advice. Don't compare anything to anyone. Look at how Asha is laughing, like she looks like she's been guilty of doing this. If you're confident with what you're writing, and you have like a trusted English teacher or your counselor or someone you can show to, and if they approve of it, you're fine. You do not need to worry about what anyone else has to say. And also, a little like more general advice: don't worry about getting in somewhere. If you've tried your best and you don't want to, and you don't get into the college you wanted to get in, life is taking you somewhere else for a reason. You are going to whatever college for a reason, because you have so much waiting for you there. So please, even if you have like a good college like in mind and you don't get in there, don't feel bad about it, because there's it wasn't the right place to you. You belong to go somewhere else, because there are bigger opportunities for you somewhere else. So take it as a blessing, even if you don't get into the college you like.
And thank you so much for that. Yeah. I think Asha. Wait, who was going next? I'm sorry, my memory is gone. It was.
Asha.
It was
Okay,
Asha.
so yeah, so like generally the Common App, how it works is that there's a bunch of prompts. I think there's up to 5 or 6, and you can very conveniently choose one. And if your specific college also asks for an essay, which it did in my case, then you're going to have to write another essay. Um, Before like answering this question, I know that this whole college essay situation is like romanticized in every movie, or even anyone that like any conversation that talks about having an essay and things like that, which by the way is completely justified, because your essay is, at least in my opinion, the one chance for you to actually like be yourself, which you should be 100%. Use that essay to be yourself. Don't. What I did was I was trying so hard to have that perfect essay, because my dad used to say to me, like, they're gonna read essays and put it in different piles. Like if your essay is like what you always read, they'll just throw it to the other pile, and then the ones that stand out is the ones that,
Oh my
and
god.
all these things. So I was like, oh my god, I should like really perfect my essay. So I spent really long, and like I put a lot of work into it, which I still think, like, I'm really glad that I did that, because it does become important. It does become your voice almost. And when I started, I was so nervous, so I was like using all my English HL strategies in my essay, and my college counselor said to me, this doesn't sound like you. Like, you don't want to sound like an English HL professor. You want to sound like a girl from high school that's actually trying to talk about her experiences to get her, like, to tell the college why she should go to this college, right? And so you have to use your voice, even with vocabulary. Like, don't try to use a thesaurus and get
Mhm.
words that have more syllables. That's not going to help you. It may confuse the admin. Like, have your voice in check, and again, like I said, play to your strengths, like I did. Like, if you have things that you know can that you're proud of, that you really liked and really enjoyed, and you know that like you have the emotion almost to like write properly behind it, then choose that, because that will help you. And again, like, be strategic about it. Like I said, for my BU, for the people that are like thinking of specifically BU, my BU essay was just the question was like, why do you think you should come to Boston University, or something, like, why. It was something that was really like, oh my god, why are they asking me why I want to choose Boston University. But then, since I did summer school there, I tried to talk about how my experience at summer school was so great, and how I felt so like almost like I belonged at campus and in the psychological and brain sciences faculty, and how great I felt learning about it with in the city of Boston and things like that. And so, like, I very, again, strategically spoke about my experiences in summer school, and like actually use um, like places from Boston and my experiences from summer school to talk about why I thought that it was fitting for me. And personally, like, I think if it wasn't for my essays, that probably gave me the edge, because if I'm being honest, like, because our exams got cancelled, I wasn't very happy with the drop from my predict to my final. And like, BU also, like, I have looked at on what's the website called? The Alpha. You guys should sign up for C Alpha, by the way. It's great. It gives you like a scatter graph of where you stand as compared to other people that have applied to the same school. So I was pretty much in the average. And when after my IB grades, I was like, I could see my like little thing on the scatter graph go down, and it really gave me, like, it broke my heart. But I honestly think that that's why your essay can help. Like, that's why your essay can really, it's the whole pile situation. Like, my dad was right. So yeah,
Like 7%
work on your.
of Indian parents use the pile thing just before. But yeah,
Yeah.
who is
Yeah. 1 second.
yeah,
Sorry. Just before we go to Srishti, can I just say, for those of you applying to BU, I've met at least 15 people, and including me, saying I think I only got in because of my essay. So specifically for BU, I think they really do care about your essay. And I'll tell you something. Most of the people I know who got in have been so themselves in the essay. For me, just be really honest. Even in my essay for why I want to get into BU, so I did my summer school in Harvard, but it's still next to Boston. So I did say I visited the campus and I love the campus. And I said they have a radio station, and I did an internship once at a radio station. So I want to work here. And then I said there's the BU dance team, a Bollywood dance team called BU Jalwa. So because I'm Indian, I want these simple things. They like it. They just want you to be honest. They picked us based on. Uh, we didn't use big vocabulary. We didn't make it complicated. Like Aashia said, just be like, of course, use little, like, a few strategies, but just be as much as yourself as you can be, especially if you are applying to BU, because the essay really does play a part in your application.
great. Yeah, thank you so much for adding that in. I think we'll go to Srishti, yeah, and then we'll.
Yeah, okay. My essay topic, I don't remember the question exactly, but it was something about some moment which sparked like reflection or something. Basically, they were saying that any moment that kind of like sparked a like process of reflection and changed your perspective on something, or it was a very like profound types. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, what was your favorite hobby? So I took a really different like direction with my essay. I like did a whole like analogy, like extended metaphor situation. I talked about perfectionism or something. I don't know. I like my essay, to be honest. I think when, you know how before I said like grades, like nobody cares, like, you know, it doesn't really matter. When I say, like, not to put too much pressure on you guys, but essay is where it matters. Like, honestly, everything, I have seen like all the successful application in the sense like they got into their dream unis. And I mean, your dream unis could be anything. So like all the people who got into their dream unis, one common thing that I saw was that their essay was just so good. Like, it was so good in the sense that it was obviously genuine and stuff. Like, they have already covered all of that. And but the little, not to like attack them, but like I hate the advice, be yourself. Because what does that mean? Like, people don't know themselves. Like, you know, you think you know yourself, but then you like end up, and then you just go to like a whole existential crisis situation. Like, you got, if you know, like that advice kind of scares me. So if I could take it in a different direction, I would say that if you know your major, like, you know your major, please write your essay about that. Like, all the successful applications have either like been, because, so I mean, there's a difference in like English majors, because they could write about anything and it's like English because it's like essays. But if you're not that good at English, like I was like, okay, like I'm like, yeah, like I'll pass, like I'll be like, okay, like it's fine. But I'm not an English HL, student. So for me, like I think what I should have done was talk about my experience in internships and stuff, because it's related to my major. They like, and I was so passionate about it. I took it in a whole different direction, because I'm not gonna lie, it's because of what other people were saying. It's like what you read online. Everyone online is like, it needs to be profound, like it needs to be like something like a little moment, and like make it into a metaphor, and they're like doing all of this drama for no reason. And honestly, the best essays are ones where like actually in your life, any proper moment which really affected you. It could be the smallest thing, like someone I think wrote about a train, like train station or something, I don't know. It could be the smallest of things. But the best, I would say, if you have no clue how to start your essay, just look into your major and anything related to that. Chances are that, there's a reason why you chose that major. What was the reason? And what moment did you know that? And if it was like you think it's like, oh, I just knew. It doesn't work like that. Like, you have to really like brainstorm. Like, there must be like one or two moments where you were like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Why do you want to do it? Like, what resulted in that thinking, Those are the best essays. Those are the essays that got into like, the dream schools. And please start writing your essay way before. Like, don't do it last minute. That's like one good thing I did through the process. That's the only good thing I did. So
thank you so much. We're gonna have to move into questions, but thanks the three of you for sharing that. That was really interesting. I'm going to, but before I ask a question, someone messaged saying, I'm really bugged that Taneesha didn't start by saying, hey, oh, it's Taneesha. So that's one thing I want to say. Okay, we're getting quite a lot of questions. So one question was, did you guys do summer school? Also, guys, you don't have to raise your hands, just message me in the chat. So someone asked, did you guys do summer schools, all three of you, and do you think they helped in your application? So we can start with, I mean, any of you can come, like, pitch in for these questions. Anyone who wants to start. Okay, Taneesha, you can begin.
Sure. So it depends on how relevant the summer school is to your major. I think for me, I did an acting summer school, and I did show interest in theater in my major, so I think it was beneficial for me. But if there are a lot of different types of summer schools as well, so if you went for a summer school just for fun, I don't think it would have too much of an effect on your application. So yeah, but yeah, sure, you definitely have like, it's just like any other extracurricular. It's a good addition to have if that's your major.
Great, yeah, thanks. Any Srishti?
Yeah, I can add to that. I would say that if you have the summer, like, why are you going to a summer school? Like, unless it's like the school you want to go to. Like, honestly, just visiting the school is good enough. Like you go for a campus tour, and that's like you're already on like the list of like, oh, they demonstrated interest. Well,
Hmm.
I would say don't pay for summer school. It's literally
Yeah,
useless unless it's like the uni you want to go to, you know?
like I was waiting for my turn because I just wanted to say like the only reason I thought summer school was beneficial was because I got to use it in my essay, literally. And like Shrishti said, if I just visited the BU campus and said that I saw this building and I saw myself reflected
Yeah,
in it, created an extended metaphor, it would have had the same. Okay, I don't know if it would
yeah,
have had the same effect. Yeah, of course, I really enjoyed summer school. I think it was an amazing experience because it gave me the chance to actually like look into what uni life was like. It was like a little week where I was like, this is what my life is going to be like for the next 4 years. So if that's something you're using to almost mentally prepare yourself, then do that. If it's a fun course that you are really into, then obviously that is something that looks good on your resume, especially if it's a school that you're going to. In my case, it was exactly the same school, so it did look good. And I got recommendations from my summer school teachers, like my psychology summer school teacher. And because I could attach extra documents, I attached my anatomy and physiology teacher's recommendation and my psych teacher's recommendation. And since they were BU professors, that was also a big deal to me. So yeah, that worked out. But at the end of the day, like when I look back at it, I paid a lot of money for something that I don't exactly know would have helped, but it was
yeah,
fun, so I'm not complaining about it. But really, like, it's not something that is necessary. I would say, look at
Mm-hmm.
internships. You're gonna get to earn
yeah,
money, also work, and have that whole I have had or I have experienced some level of professionalism in my life thing to add to your resume, and you're not spending as much money, and it'll still be a really fun experience. So spend your summers doing internships.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, if
that's
I
a
could add to that, like if you have the summer, why, like honestly, I just wanna like burst your bubble first of all. Just because you got into a summer school does not mean like anything. Like it's, I'm sorry, like it does not mean shit. They need
Facts.
the money. They
yeah.
need the money for the summer because nobody studies during that summer and they like wanna keep the stuff open. So they just take anyone. Like, and
Yeah.
if you have the summer, I'll tell you which extracurriculars really matter. And these are extracurriculars I did not do. So like I know they matter a lot. A research project, any professor you like, maybe you know someone, connections, whatever, any research project where you're working with a professor in the topic that you're interested in. For example, psych. You can always do research in psych. There's so much to do, right? And if you know a professor, like in some uni and stuff, it will really add to your application. Like you have a publication, it will add to your application. You have like your own project, like your own business, and business doesn't mean anything. Like it could be literally an Instagram page or whatever. Like, you know, you have your own business, that like that happened. Like, you know, that is good. You took part in a competition, you won something, that is amazing, great job. Because you know how you have the 5 awards and stuff, like that's so stressful, to be honest. Like what awards will you put, right? Because they have the international, national, like, and I'm like, I don't have any international award. If you can get an award, great. Like the summer, instead of spending money and just going to some uni and like learning nothing essentially, like you could just visit the unis and do something else. Like that's just a better use of your time.
Okay, well, thank you for like again, like Shrishti, you brought like a lot of different perspectives, but like it's that's what a panel is, like a lot of like opposing views. So I'm really glad about this discussion, and we're getting a lot of questions. So panelists, if you guys have to drop off, otherwise you guys can stay and answer. And like for anyone in the audience who has to go, you guys can go, but there are quite a few questions coming in. So I'll just ask a couple more if that's fine. So
Mm-hmm.
someone asked, did you guys have financial aid? So, or did you guys apply for scholarships? Ash, I can
Um,
answer the question. International students do not get financial aid at BU, which is like heartbreaking. Like ask Taneesha, Taneesha, this whole like I was switching from UFT to
Oh
BU.
my God.
There's this whole different guilt situation that you go into when you see your tuition fee schedule. It's like, do I even deserve like my parents paying this much for my education? And you know, it's a whole situation. So if you can get financial aid, honestly, look at getting financial aid. This is your undergrad at the end of the day. Like remember that you still have to learn more. If you're planning to do postgrad, then you might have to fund that yourself, or your parents will help you out or whatever. But look at that as well. Like, you need to pay for that at some college, and you're going to want to have the search for the best of the best colleges, and you're going to want to do that. So just take that in stride, and like, if there are scholarships that you can work for, a lot of schools do give scholarships, but again, like for international students, I don't know if they're as big. And like, again, like, there's also a different tuition for international students as compared to the state, the people that are in the same state, and it's a very huge difference. So like, look at financial aid opportunities, look at third party investors, look at I have a whole like thing about it. After first year at BU, there are some scholarship opportunities. There are certain courses that you can do to waiver off some of your tuition. In terms, like at BU, if I know, if you work at the Metropolitan College that's by some Charles River, that for that year you're like someone that's working at that college, or like helping with research and stuff, and so they will like take some of the tuition off and stuff like that. But definitely, like, if that's something you can do, it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal, because like, going abroad to study is a huge investment. Make the most of it and try to help your like, you're not paying for this, you guys, like, your parents are paying for this. And so you have to remember that, and you have to like be able to help yourself out as much as you can, and like, try to just like, if there are opportunities, please don't let them go.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Srishti or Taneesha, Srishti, you can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, I don't think a lot of people talk about this, kind of personal, but honestly, it's so important to just sit down with your parents one day and really like look at your finances. Like, as a family, you think they have the money, they might not have the money. It's all assumptions. You don't really know what your parents are doing. You don't know what's happening, and this might not apply to like a lot of people who have like family businesses and stuff. Okay, great, good for you, but like a lot of people don't. So if finance is actually an issue, I would say setting expectations like straight up. Like, when I was applying, I literally straightforward asked, do you have the money to support like 80K every year? That's the minimum. Do you have the money? Yes and no. They didn't have an answer for me, so I was like, okay. I'm not freaking out. But then, like, we really sat down, made an Excel sheet and everything, a whole plan for the next like 10. Yeah, our family is very but like, it's really important. If finance is a big deal for you, you need to set expectations straight, like upfront, that do you have the money, you don't have the money, you can't apply, like, you can't like just go and then see where the money is coming from. Like, that is one thing which I would say is very important. Second, the reason why I can even go to Northeastern, to be honest, is because I got a scholarship. Like, it's really important, like the scholarships that you get, if you just put like a little extra effort, if there's 2 questions you have to answer for an extra scholarship, it's worth it. Like, you never know, you don't know what will happen. And scholarship is always, so for me, Northeastern has an honors program, and I got the honors scholarship. So it was like, I think 60K in total, and that's a huge amount of money, to be honest. Like, you don't when I was applying, I didn't even think of that much, because nobody thinks about scholarships and stuff when you're applying. You just want to get in. But like, my family, the expectation is, yeah, we can pay for like if it was like, okay, I applied to NYU Stone and stuff like that. I got waitlisted there, so if I would have gotten in, that is okay. Like, we have the money for that because it pays for itself. But if it's like your second year, like a safety school or like a second year school, you need the scholarship or you won't be able to go. Like, it's the expectations up front. So if you have that conversation, you know what's up, you know exactly what you're looking for. Like, that in this school, if I want to go, I need the scholarship, and for the scholarship you can do extra stuff. And also, like, be open to like the other random scholarships. Like, you don't honestly, like, there's so many random scholarships, like 2000 USD does not seem like a lot of money, but once you get it, like 2000 USD will pay for like 2 flight tickets, like it's like the little things. Like, it's okay if you just put a little extra effort. Scholarships are very much possible. You just gotta look for it. And especially for Boston unis, very much possible. Like, so yeah.
Thank
look into
Yeah.
scholarships.
Yeah. Also look
Sorry.
at third party scholarships in
Hmm.
India also. Just like it doesn't take a lot. Just do like a quick search wherever you can get the little help. It's always very
Yeah,
helpful.
agree.
Yeah, like I just want to add, when I was doing my research, I found third party scholarships. It almost like works out for if you're studying something that institute or that like company is working for. Like I know that for just women in science, like women that are doing science, they have like a whole scholarship, almost like a grant that they give to these just women working in science because they want to support that. And it's like a whole, like almost a group that supports that. And so that works out. So like look at all of that. Like you don't know if you're going to have to work through your undergrad as well. Like I know that I'm going to want to work and I'm going to start networking from there on and stuff like that. So do that. That is very important. Like I'm glad all of us have spoken so much about it because it is one of the most important aspects. Like when you choose your colleges, when I listed down all the factors that were important to me in terms of the size of the university, the class size, the the ranking and stuff like that, tuition is the first factor. It's literally the first factor, because for your I-20 and your visa to go to the US, you literally need to show proof that you have funds for the next 4 years to support your whole education. So you can't like hack the system in any way or do anything and say that I'll figure it out and have like 80 student loans. Like you don't want to get into that mess. Like in the US, the biggest debt right now is the student loan debt, and you do not want to get into that mess.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for elaborating so much on this, because this I feel like is not really spoken about. This side is left untouched, but it's really, and I like there are so many questions I'm getting about financial aid and scholarships. So it's great that you guys addressed it. Someone has messaged me like 4 times saying study tips, please. So can we just make her happy? You guys have any study tips that you'd like to give?
Honestly, no. You do not want to listen to my advice on studying. I always studied extremely last minute. I think my only advice is don't do that. Don't be too last minute.
Guys,
Mm.
Yeah, anyone?
Um,
Yeah.
I can like try. Okay, I feel like I sound so annoying. I'm gonna sound so annoying again. I apologize. You need to find what works for you. Not gonna lie, I have a midterm today. It's the last day to give it. It's been open for 4 days. I haven't started studying. Like it's just works for me to study last minute. Like it just works. So like yeah, like just do it. It's fine if it's like if it works for you. You need to find what works for you. Like nobody can give you study tips. Nobody can like sit down, work, study. It really, yeah, it doesn't work. You can try many things. Try, okay, so like you can try maybe, okay, for one test I will study 3 days in advance. How did it go? Did it go well? Like do like trial and error and you'll figure it out. And I feel like I don't know how old this person is, but if they're like in 10th grade or whatever, there's so much time. By if you just figure it out by second semester of 11th grade, that's good enough. Like if you just know your strategy, then you can just take that. And 12th grade sucks. Nobody can do well. Like it just doesn't work out. Like it just the system is against you. Like don't be so like about the studying and stuff. Like just try your best, honestly.
just to give her like an answer instead of like you find your strategy. um if I can give advice in terms of what I wish I would have done, I or things that I'm glad I did. For one, get your checklist. Like I'm a big checklist person, and I think
Mm.
really help. And I think a lot, I've seen that work with a lot of students as well. Checklists can really like sort things out in your head. So when you're starting off, and you have to start work or you have a lot of work, just start off by making a checklist with little boxes at the front so you can tick it off, because it's very like validating to see boxes get ticked off, if you know what I mean. And also, like, please do not, like, I know that we sometimes say that leaving things in the last minute is good and we do that, whatever, but you have nothing to lose if you are starting early. Like even if you are a last minute person, you're not losing anything by even just getting to know what you have to do or making a checklist for what you have to do. So if you're just sitting like empty, don't just be like, I have time. Like really strategize your time, because you don't know when things will pile up. Especially if you're an IB student, like, don't let things pile up. Please don't let things pile up. You
That's
only
true.
realize how important each individual thing is after the submissions are done. Because at the end of the day, it looked to me as if I had 4 IAs, so I couldn't really give each of them importance. Like, to me, it was more like scattered, right? And so, yeah, like, don't do that. Give it importance and start early.
Yeah, about that, it is so important to like choose your battles. Like you cannot, trust me, in IB, you can't do everything perfectly. You have to give up on one thing to do the other thing well. And that is something I learned really, like you actually just cannot be perfect. And there will be things which will not work out and it's out of your control. And like for example, I would for mocks, either people could work on their IAs or they could study for mocks. Like those were the two options. Like, do you want to fail your IAs or do you want to fail your mocks? It's not even like, oh, I'm smart, I'll be able to do it. Nobody can do it. It's just not like, it's just not possible. For me, I wanted to do well in my mock, so I kind of like said, okay, whatever. Like, I don't want to do Chem IA properly because I'm good at Chem. Like, I don't care about the Chem IA. I'll just do whatever I can make up, with the test. Did I get to make up with the test? No, I didn't. So, I, I'm just very salty about that. But
This
I'm
is
just
why
saying,
you
like,
should
you
take
don't know.
HSC. You will save yourself lakhs if you just take HSC and study really hard, and you will also get a good social life and a good balance.
Wow. Okay, we get it.
Right? Like,
Not
after
to flex on us.
and I are going to the same place, why have I put myself through the hell that was IB?
Literally.
I'm still in the same place.
Oh my, that is
But IB is good, guys. Like, you think it's so
Definitely.
bad, but like when you're in uni, it helps. Like, literally, it really, you're at an advantage, not gonna lie. Like, writing wise, like, just everything, I would say, like,
Talking back
analytical
to the
skills.
credit
Yeah.
system, like the credit system,
The
and
credit
Hmm.
system is
Credit
very
is so
helpful if
good.
you're an IB kid or if you take an APs.
Yeah.
all my seniors have spoken to me about how, like, the IAs that they did, like, they're so glad they did their E's and
Hmm.
IAs because they got so well acquainted with how to do a research paper, and you're doing
Yeah.
tons of research papers in uni all the time. Like, an IA was such a big deal to us in IB. That's like a very normal assignment on a Tuesday for uni.
That
So,
is so true. Yeah.
really, like, if you're doing the IB, you're not at a loss. Like, don't worry about it. It's going to get hard, but it's worth it.
great. Thank you guys. There's a lot of other questions. I'll just ask 2 or 3 more before we end it. So there was only, if you guys want to share, there was a question which is about what your final IB scores were, just
Hmm.
because they're studying an IB. Otherwise, you can just give, and this is for both Srishti and Aashia, but Taneesha, Taneesha, you can also share your scores or your grades or whatever. Otherwise, you guys can just
Mhm.
give advice about how much you think like grades and transcript matter. So, Srishti, we can start with you, and then Taneesha, and then
Okay. Okay, I don't mind sharing my grade mainly because it's good and it's the only thing I'm proud of. Which speaks for itself. There's not much to be proud of, to be honest. So my predicted was a 43 both ways. I don't know what went to the IB, and my final grade was a 42. I lost 1 point in that three whatever rubbish, and then 2 points. Yeah, so 1 point there, and I don't remember now exactly, but I know my HLs were all no, it was 2716 for HL. Yeah. So honestly, grades again, I'll just take it from me. I'm being like completely honest here. I had the grades like my SAT score was pretty okay. Like it was 1490. I'm in the average of like top schools. Did not do shit for me. Like that's all I'm trying to say. Like I'm trying to be very honest. Northeastern was not my top choice. It's not even one of my like the ones I wanted to go to. In the end, when I researched about it, I really loved the school. Like I really liked it because I got the scholarship and blah blah blah. But as a school itself, it's not the school I wanted to go to. It's not the school I can see myself in. Like it was after so much research, after so many like other considerations that I decided. So to be honest, it's so unpredictable. Like I think I didn't answer the advice question before, but if I could give you some advice, honestly, don't have like expectations. Like it's not about you in the end. It's about the school. They don't care about like you. They care about their own school and how everyone like comes together. if you did not get in doesn't mean you were not good. There are so many factors that are beyond your control. And take it from me, I have control issues. Like, I think I can control everything, right? And when I did not get into my schools, like, I was crying for 2 months. Don't do that. Why did I do that? That's such a waste of time. Like, it's okay. Like, honestly, it's beyond your control. It really, like, in the last 2 months I have really learned this like circle of control situation. What was in our control and what is in your control right now is your application, how you write it, your effort. If you are convinced with your effort, the result does not matter. It doesn't work out well, okay, fine, cry for 2 days, done, and then move on. Like, it's okay. Like, it does not matter that much. In the end, I'm so happy with the school I'm in. Like, I think this is the place where I can really thrive. And honestly, everything happens for a reason. Like, if I did not get into those schools, yeah, am I a little sad? Yeah. Am I disappointed? Yeah, maybe I'm still disappointed somewhere. But at the end, I really feel like I'm in a school where I can thrive personally. Like, it's on paper, maybe, people don't think it's a good school, blah, blah, blah. I still get, why did you not go to UCL? Why did you not go to Rotman? Why didn't you go to McGill? Whatever, ranking, whatever shit. I don't care about the ranking in the end, right? Ranking is on paper. You don't know how those are getting computed. It's all about what works for you, what's the best fit for you. And honestly, if anyone on this call wants any tips on like deciding unis and stuff, like, I've gone through a whole 1 month long process of deciding unis. I made an Excel sheet. I did a whole system.
I was just gonna ask you if you made an Excel sheet because
Srishti makes
Yeah,
an Excel sheet for everything.
I'm obsessed with Excel sheets. I'm a business student, okay? Like, this is the one thing I'm excited about.
That's exactly like my sister. She made a whole Excel sheets for all my dorm room needs and everything. Like,
Oh my god.
yeah, that's a lot. You remind me a lot of my sister. She makes Excel sheets for everything.
It works, guys. You don't know. I've come up with a system. It's color coded. Honestly, it's a system where it could work for anyone. You can just like put the names of the unis that you are. Honestly, contact me. I will give you the Excel sheet. It's a good system.
Share that with me. Maybe I can put it on Connect to College for anyone who's interested in your system.
I honestly, yeah, you know what? I'm very proud of the system.
Wow, I'll give you credits. Don't worry. I'm just gonna ask one last. Oh, also, just something to add. The person who asked about the IB score, there were quite a few, but one was like, "Can we please address the elephant in the room, which is the IB scores?" But yeah, I think Aashia and Taneesha also, if you guys are okay sharing. Taneesha, we can start with
Sure. Yeah. In my 12th grade, I got a 90%, which is pretty good in terms of HSC. And in my 11th grade, I got 80%, which in Jai Hind translates to an A grade, and I put that in there. So, I mean, they were pretty happy with my scores. But just as Srishti said, colleges are very weird. You don't know what they want from you. I feel like I got in based on my essay and not my scores. But as long as you're doing your best, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You'll go where you need to go.
yeah, thank you. And Aashia.
That being said, like from Srishti and Taneesha about the IB scores and the fact that it's the elephant in the room, let me just tell you, 11th grade, my predicted was a 39. 12th grade, everything went to shit. My predicted dropped to a 37. After the whole COVID situation and us not being able to give our exams, a lot of us were banking on really working hard before the exams and all that. But I did work hard for my IAs, don't get me wrong, whatever.
Yeah.
So then I dropped further for my final, and like that was whatever. But when we look at like academics, why do we want to get higher scores? Because we think that will get us into the better schools, right? And like, if I'm being honest, it is not about the ranking of your school in general. It's about the ranking of your school in terms of your course and in terms of the fit it is for you, because you're not going to become like you're not going to become part of like the university. While you are, the education you're getting is just for your course. So please like look at that. I've spoken to people at BU that are doing psychology, and this one girl told me that she has a professor from Harvard teaching her psychology. the people that went to Harvard probably got 45s. I sat there with my 37 predict and I'm still getting taught by the same professor. BU is tied with Cornell University for its psychological department. So I'm really out here getting the same, if not better, education as the people that got 45s. So let's ignore this elephant in the room. Let's look at how to get the best, like to like it's the learning process. I know I'm feeling like a stupid, like dumb person, but
I love your
not at all.
point. I'm obsessed
No,
with your
yeah, I
point.
agree. I'm in a psych class in BU and it is such a good class. Our professor is so funny and sweet. So I definitely agree with everything you're saying.
like dropped names because this whole like grade situation and ranking situation, everyone get really like greedy about the name and stuff like that. That's the only
Yeah.
reason I got names. Like I was just trying to make that comparison to let you know that like don't worry about it. Like your grade, like talking like Srishti said, like she cried for like I also had that time, I had that phase and stuff. And while I'm looking back, of course, I did not study as hard as Srishti. She is a very hard worker. But yeah, like if people like people who have done that are telling you that it really matter to them, then please think about how you're gonna plan that and take this advice and stride.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love your point, Asha. It's such an important point because on paper, I'll take my example, Northeastern University. Let's be honest, it's not one of the top. It does not sound good. It really does not. And that was something I was so fixated on for like 2 weeks. I was like, I don't want to go to a uni called like Northeastern. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird. You know what I mean? Like, University of Toronto, Rotman has a better name. McGill has a better name. UCL has a better name. And I still to this day get, why did you choose this? Like, oh, it's such a trashy school. I get those exact words. And I'm so sure about my decision because it's about the business school. Like, you must have heard me. Like, I did not say that I'm in Northeastern. I said I'm in Damar McCain School of Business because for that it's on the top 20. So like, it does not matter. And if they have connections all over the world, they have connections. Now if you want to drop names, because apparently everyone's obsessed with names, like, let's go like LSC. They have connections with LSC. They have connections with like all these unis all across the school, like, world. So honestly, at the end, please don't make a decision based on the school name and based on reputation,
Definitely.
because you will hate your life. You will hate your life if
Definitely.
you go to a school
And
because
think
of
Yeah.
about it,
reputation.
like me doing psych, if I thought about it in terms of like the top psychological departments and I looked at Cornell University for its name, I would be stuck in a class where the average of all the Ivy graduates would probably be 45s. And I would be out there like, hi, I just chose this school for this name, but I'm failing undergrad now and I don't know where my life is going and my parents have spent so much money and all of that. But I'm still like at that level of a psychological department at BU, which is so much of a better fit for me because I didn't worry about rankings. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Please
Please
don't worry
don't
about the
worry.
rankings.
It's so stupid. Like, have you noticed, guys? Like, if you go to the ranking, because I know everyone goes, oh, top 100, you blah blah blah. Literally, the rankings change. Every
Every
website
year.
does a different
Every year.
ranking.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever wondered? And some unis which are top, okay, and they won't even be on the ranking. Why? Because they probably did something to piss off the person who wrote it. Like, it's
that,
literally so
yeah,
stupid.
Also, a school that looks really perfect in terms of ranking may be really shit for you. Like, you may hate the campus, or you may hate how they
Yeah.
do their classes, or you may hate their system of a big classroom when you prefer a small classroom. And name is not everything. Imagine doing a film major at Harvard. People will think you're stupid. Please don't, please don't go on name. It doesn't matter. It's only something for Indian aunties to brag about, and please let's boycott
Yeah.
them. It's nothing.
Yeah.
Name doesn't mean anything.
So true, dude. Honestly, I was thinking about it. Also, this is such a random thing I just thought of. If you hate the uni you're applying to, it will come through your application. I know because I hated about 50% of the unis I was applying to. Not gonna lie, I did not like UC Berkeley. It was just too big for me. It's not a good fit. Why did I apply? Oh, it's a good school, blah, blah, blah. It's a good name. It's on the ranking, whatever. They can tell, like, they're not stupid. They can tell. If you yourself don't like the uni, why would they like you to be there? And it comes through. Like, this is just one example I'm giving. All these top schools, like, for example, what else did I apply? I don't even remember, but all these unis, on paper they're amazing schools. Like, oh, I mean, like, it's so good,
Yeah.
it's so great. Srishti, you should apply. Everyone, you should apply. You should apply to this school. Blah 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 blah. And they can tell, like, they can really tell. The only other school that I liked was NYU Stern, and based on my like deductive reasoning, that's the only school I got waitlisted at, and that was the school I actually really liked. Now there must be a correlation, right? Like, why did I get waitlisted at that and I didn't get? Got completely rejected from UC Berkeley, Emory, USC Marshall, because I honestly, like, I did not like those schools. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I did not like. I had so much bad things to say about each of the schools. NYU Stern, I genuinely liked it, and that's the school I got close to. So they can tell. Don't apply
Yeah.
to a school just because of the name. Don't apply because your mom is forcing you or something. This did not happen to me, just in case she's on call.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
also adding to what
yeah.
Srishti said, someone else not liking a school doesn't mean that you won't like it. Everybody has their own preferences. So as Srishti likes a smaller feel in the school, you may like bigger classrooms, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't base your college decisions on what we're saying, because you have different preferences. I just want to like put that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you guys so much. I think we've covered a lot of the overlapping questions. There are a, there are a couple of more questions, and I'm taking screenshots of them. So hopefully we'll get back to you, but we're running quite, I think, like 30 minutes over time. But like, yeah, yeah. I'll just quickly put the link to the feedback as well as Connect to College. And in the meanwhile, Srishti, Taneesha, and Aashia, thank you guys so much for doing this. Like, I've learned I think the most on this panel than any of my others. Like, I'm so happy. Guys, the links are in the chat. Make sure to follow Connect to College, and if you want to see like more amazing panelists like these three. And I think with that, I think we can end the meeting. Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.